I'm Mark Halpern. We're counting down the Oscars here in New York with my colleagues James Poniewozik of Time and Michelle Tan of People. All right, we're talking about hosts as we count down here. Ellen DeGeneres getting her second chance to host. Tell me briefly first, what makes a good Oscar host, do you think?
Well, what makes a great Oscar host is somebody who makes everybody feel comfortable, not only in the audience, but also at home.
I think a host is kind of an interface. They have to be half in the world of the audience and half the world of the celebrities. And I think when that balance gets thrown off too much one way or the other, if they're too much inside the room, if they're too much of the outsider, it's going to be uncomfortable on one side of the equation or the other.
All right, this is Ellen's second time hosting. Let's take a look from her first time in 2007. A bit of that.
I think most people dream of winning an Academy Award. I had a dream of actually hosting the Academy Awards. And so let that be a lesson to you kids out there. Aim lower.
All right, likable, funny. Is she a bigger star than she was when she did it last time?
About even. I mean, she'd been a daytime star for a while then, at the time. But that's kind of the post that's perfect to come in and host the Oscars from, because she is both somebody who is a friend of celebrities and is kind of America's best friend, who people are used to hanging out with. So it kind of makes her the sort of universal Oscar date.
My view is she's not going to fail. She's just so well liked. She does good stuff. She'll be fine. But she's also not going to be a huge home run. Did it seem right?
Well, I mean, I think that she's not going to be spectacular or really surprising, but I mean, looking at some of Oscars history, Seth MacFarlane was a very surprising host, not necessarily in ways that worked fantastically.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. I think she's going to do incredibly well, and people love her.
Right. All right, now let's look at some of the past ones. You mentioned Seth MacFarlane, hosted last year, a surprise choice and a controversial choice. Let's look at one of his more controversial moments.
We saw your boobs. In the movie that we saw your boobs. Meryl Streep, we saw your boobs in Silkwood. Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive. Angelina Jolie, we saw your boobs in Gia. They made us feel excited and alive.
Now, often the cutaways in the Oscars are fake and staged.
Right.
That, Naomi Watts, pure real, right? She was as horrified as many viewers.
Well, it at least felt very real, but it was just extremely uncomfortable all around.
Right. It seems like the choice of Ellen, in part, great choice for a lot of reasons, as you guys have said. Seems like in part what they're going for is somebody who's not going to offend anybody, who's a safe and well-liked choice.
Right, a kinder, gentler Oscar host. And that Seth MacFarlane joke, really, you got it at first, but it was just really the boob joke that went on way too long.
Right. All right, now I want to talk about another host who some people thought was, for many years, the model. Billy Crystal. He's done it 9 times. They brought him back a couple years ago after Eddie Murphy had to pull out. I want to look at a clip at that and then talk about the pros and cons of somebody like Crystal.
Now, here's something that we love to do. This is a pressure-packed night for a lot of you, and the nominees are sitting in the audience, and people are wondering, what are they thinking? Now, I have had this gift since I first started hosting the show, that I can look in anyone's eyes, and I know exactly what they're thinking. So watch the screen, and I'll tell you what's on their mind. This better not go too late. I have 6 parent-teacher conferences in the morning.
Some people said after that 9th time was not the charm. He wasn't all that good. I think in my career as a viewer of the Oscars, he has been one of the best hosts. The musical numbers he's done have been iconic and memorable and all that. Do you think people the viewers like having somebody around for a long time, kind of the perennial Oscar host, or does it get tired?
Absolutely. I feel like he's like your favorite uncle who you love to hang out with. You know you're going to have a great time. He's going to share some fun stories, and it's quality time well spent.
Well, the funny thing is that used to be what the Oscars do. It would be, Bob Hope year after year after year after year. I think the thing with Billy Crystal is that, he had a thing down, and I think maybe when he came back several years later, it kind of looked like shtick. Maybe not even through a fault of his own, but it kind of played that way.
Right. So now, throw some names out if you can, put you on the spot. Who's somebody, a name or two, of people who've never done it who you'd like to see do it?
Oh, gosh, I'd love to see Stephen Colbert, and he would probably absolutely bomb, but I would personally enjoy it very much.
Right. Michelle, anybody?
I actually was just going to say that as well. I mean, his skits on his show are so fantastic. He would be really fun.
All right, now I want to close by looking at what is considered, I think, probably the worst choice of hosts ever, the joint pairing in 2011 of James Franco and Anne Hathaway.
Anne, I must say, you look so beautiful and so hip.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah.
You look very appealing to a younger demographic as well.
Thank you very much.
Now, that pairing came about in part, they were joking about it, because of the obsession the Academy has to appeal to a younger demographic to keep the ratings up, not just overall, but amongst the valued young demo.
Right.
Yep.
Does Ellen do that? Does Ellen appeal to younger people?
I don't necessarily know that her appeal is as young as, say Seth MacFarlane,
Right.
but it's got to work on camera too, know.
Right.
So maybe Ellen doesn't go quite as young, but maybe she also doesn't have as many people like actively changing the channel.
Right. Readers like Ellen?
People, readers love Ellen. We
Yeah.
just put her on the cover, and they really appreciated the way that she was really reflecting about her life. And I think that's really what comes across, not only in her jokes in her daytime show, but really people will find appealing to her, about her in her show.
James, Michelle, thank you both. You can, of course, read about the Oscars all the way up through Sunday night's telecast on both people.com and time.com. I'm Mark Halpern in New York. Thanks for watching.